We're talking about the Supreme Court rap on Patanjali Ayurveda, but the question I'm asking over here is, what about the people who have suffered, who may have gotten killed, who may have ended up in the hospitals simply because they did not get allopathy treatments because of the fake claims, the fake false promises being made by Baba Ramdev and by Patanjali Ayurveda. The question I also ask over here is, can there be a law that can be inserted in our constitution that allows for public, the people who are aggrieved, to file cases, writ petitions, in pleas in the court of law, which is going to be termed as class action? Let's start this conversation, and I'm going to bring in some lawyers into the discussion. I have with me Ramkant Gaur. And Ramkant Gaur, the point over here about hundreds and thousands, perhaps even millions, who consume these medicines under the false claim that is advertised by Patanjali Ayurveda, and there must be many who must have suffered the consequences of it as well. But our law does not permit that a class action be taken by a group of people who are aggrieved and take to the courts to find justice, to ensure that the courts of the law take action in favor of the consumers by way of fast, rapid judgment.
See, there may not be class action suits kind of thing, but the concept of damages is already inculcated in our system. Right from Neelabati Behera's case, the courts have held if somebody has suffered, then there is a damage, there is a compensation. So the basic principle of the law is, where there is wrong, there is a remedy. So the Indian law is not remediless in terms of seeking compensation. More particularly, see, the advertisement of Ramdev and his company, Patanjali Ayurveda, was flouting the law named the Drugs and Magic Remedies Objectionable Advertisement Act 1954. So this law is there in our country since 1954, where such kind of advertisement are prohibited. And that's the reason Honorable Supreme Court held up the central government also. They specifically pointed it out to Additional Solicitor General. What action have you taken when Ramdev and his associates have been proliferating the ideology of treatment of coronal, and they were despising the allopathic system or any other established system, and they were saying that coronal is only medication available, then what action have you taken against them? And there was mum. There is a provision of conviction. There is a provision of punishment up to 6 months in first conviction case and 1 year in another case. And there are other aspects of the case where they can be prosecuted under the provisions of Drugs and Cosmetics Act. So not only the provisions, the criminal provisions are there, there are provisions in law where the public who have suffered can go and approach the court and seek compensation.
But does class action suits allow for speedy justice to be delivered to the consumers and large groups?
See, class action suits, the concept is yet to be developed in India, but the writ petitions and approaching Consumer Protection Act, courts under Consumer Protection Act would be suffice, and they are speedy. If somebody prosecuted in a proper persuasive manner, they are quite effective. And they were created only for the purpose of dispensation of speedy justice.
Absolutely. Okay. Let me get Shyam Shravish Ren also on the telecast with me. And Shyam, a response from you with regards to the next step, because this is The rap that has come from the Supreme Court to Patanjali Ayurveda is one thing. There is going to be compensation that is going to be demanded by the Supreme Court perhaps, which will have to be paid by Patanjali. But the next step, and that's the difficult one, because when we talk about the number of people who have consumed the Patanjali medicines and have suffered because of that, how difficult will it be for lawyers, for counsels to find that out? And how do we ensure that justice is given to every single one of these individuals who have fallen into the false claims?
Here I would start with why Supreme Court took such a strong action is that there is a very famous saying that great power comes with great responsibility. So Mr. Ramdev, he had a lot of fan following. So he needs to understand that he has a huge power. Whatever he says, most of the people who follow him usually believes it. So him making such kind of a statement, which is wrong, which could affect the health of others, which means that he clearly knows what he is doing. And that clearly means that it might not be you might not call it a murder if someone dies, but you will call it culpable homicide, wherein the person knows what he is doing could kill someone, or if someone eats it, someone could have multiple organ failure, or he could even die. So these things, when everyone knows that if I lie and something this sort of happens, so which means that he knows, and he knows that if at all, if I am caught, that's when I would be put behind the bars. So because of his wrong statements, it's the court and the law and order who should take everything in their hand and say that, look, if even a single person has died after taking his any things that he was falsely claiming that it is good for your health and all, this person should be put behind the bars because he knows what he has been doing.
Yeah. How do we also accumulate this data? And the point being that, like I said, the easier thing was for the Supreme Court to come down heavily on Patanjali, because you identify with the company, you know who the culprits are behind this entire scam. But the difficult part becomes that the number of people who have been impacted adversely because of it. And how many people will come out and reach the courts? Because, a layman thinking about reaching the courts would think that, it's a long drawn process. Oh my God, it is going to take my money, it is going to take my time, I might as well let it be and move on with my life. That's the kind of perception people have of judiciary in our country. Second of all, for example, the number of people who have skipped taking the vaccine, the COVID vaccine, but instead gone for coronal and then faced adverse impact, how do we compensate them?
Well, firstly, having information regarding what all wrong has happened with someone, that would be little difficult for the government also. Like you said, that not everyone would be stepping forward. In fact, you could say that there might be a handful who have not suffered anything because of Patanjali. They would also come forward. So getting that kind of information would be little difficult. Move that, but even if you have single thing that is again which is misleading, that is enough to put a person behind the bars. Take control of his complete trust. Take control of the complete money that this company has earned. Give compensation to everyone, whosoever comes, even if he has used it or not. Whosoever comes, give them the compensation. Okay. Let the court take everything in their hand and let them do it. Because may I just say, because if you will see, not in this brand, but these brands, these Amrapali, Omax, and all, when these companies did something wrong, the court took everything in their hand and they started working on it, because people like Ramdev and these companies who knows that they are doing wrong, and they are just waiting ki jab hoga tab hoga, and they are playing with the lives of innocent people, innocent children. They should be put behind the bars without even giving it a second thought.
Absolutely. Let me get into the telecast now. Dr. Jayesh Lele. Dr. Lele, the trust deficit that Ayurveda in our country and across the globe has faced because of Baba Ramdev and his falseful claims, who is going to rectify that? How is that damage going to be compensated for?
See, first of all, that is will have to be studied later on, because right now government is not promoting so much of the research and advanced development into the various methods of allopathic, homeopathy, Ayurvedic or Unani. So the government will have to take the decision to increase. Suppose now that you're talking about Ayurvedic is concerned, Charak Samhita, if you read, it is 3,000-4,000 years old. But unfortunately, subsequently down the line, last 1,000 years, the development has much according to allopathic and that allied fields and not in the Ayurvedic. So this will have to be taken up very strongly if at all you have to have that. But what our intention was that when we had complained to the government, when I myself had filed the RTI in April 21, when the release of Coronil occurred, why did the government, when I got a letter from Ayush Ministry that Coronil is not for approved for the coronavirus, then why did the government allow the Coronil to be distributed? I have still those papers with me. My question is that rather than going, I just heard a discussion about 10 minutes back after we have got up very late, I would say that. I mean, still the damage has been done not only in the Coronil. That time we had a third wave and it was a very bad wave. At the same time, why we filed this case in July, August 22 was that advertisement. When we had filed a FIR in Patna, we had filed a FIR in MP, we had filed a FIR in Delhi, and no action was initiated. And that is how the problem started. And when we realized this advertisement going bare say, then we filed another case in the August 22. So now, I mean, research of the Ayurvedic was one side, but stopping the damage will have to be done at the earliest, because looking at the Ayurvedic products, unless you have that proper drug control or proper mechanism, whatever exercise is not going to give the implementation which is needed.
Right. Okay. Dr. S.K. Poddar, the same question to you. What I'm trying to at this point of time understand and get a response for about the fact that the trust that people had and the fan following of Patanjali and Baba Ramdev has reduced manifold. And that's the truth. There is no disputing it or doubting it. But the question also arises is people's faith in Ayurveda has perhaps slightly diminished as well. Because right now, people will be in two minds as to whether they can trust Ayurveda, which already has to face a lot of challenges in its growth, in getting people's trust, because the percentage of people who actually go for Ayurveda treatment are much lower than allopathy. So while the government pushes forth the Ayurveda medicine, it has opened the Ayush Ministry in that regard as well. But how do we damage control over here, which has happened to the Ayurveda medicine?
I think Ayush Ministry has to take action, not against only Ramdev. There are so many other people also who in the name of Ayurveda or other medicines, ancient medicine like Unani medicines, they are claiming everything can be cured on so many TV channels every day. So this comes under purview of Ayush Ministry. They have to take action against those false claims which are being made by not only Ramdev. Ramdev is only one of them. There are so many people who are claiming to cure diabetes, thyroid by Ayurvedic medicines, by Unani medicines. They are not doing justice to their own system also. So I think this is the stand should be taken by Ayush Ministry that what they are advertising, whether it is they should form an expert committee of that particular science of medicine, and then if approved, then only they should advertise on national television.
Okay, all right. Ramakant Gaur, I'll come back to you about the step that needs to be taken next. And who are these individuals or organizations that will have to move forward in the court of law to file their petitions? Because here, when the IMA has filed the petition that this is a case of perjury against Patanjali Ayurveda, there has to be the next step, or what is the compensation that will have to be paid by Patanjali for the damage that it has done to the millions of people, damage that it has done to the reputation of Ayurveda, and can just apologizing for what they have done will suffice?
See, if you look at the defense or the defensive steps of Ramdev and the subtle support by the government, Ramdev opted not to file the unconditional apology before the Supreme Court. And his counsel said that he is here, he could not file it, he wanted to submit it orally. That was the reason, because if the moment it is admitted that they were on the wrong foot and they are caught by Supreme Court, a floodgate of litigation against Patanjali would erupt. Now my sister said that Supreme Court had taken into their hands the issue related to the home buyers of Amarpali, Unitech and others. That was a different case. There people were cheated, and those offences were the predicate offences under the provisions of Section 3 of Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Their properties can be attached under the provisions of PMLA, and Supreme Court under 142, by exercising their jurisdiction, can look into that aspect. Here, the issue is related to the violation of Drugs and Cosmetics Act and Drugs and Magic Remedies Act, Objectionable Advertisement Act. So the issue is, there was different, issue herein is a little different. Though, yes, it is I am speaking a little technical language, but these are cognizable offense. But as far as their punishment is concerned, we should expect that central government wake up and prosecute Baba Ramdev and his associates for the damage they did to the society. This is a country where we have been trusting saffron and the saints. Whereas one Ramkishan Yadav comes in saffron color, portrayed himself as a saint, launched a company, he's a big corporate today, and made false and frivolous advertisement through by using various reputed publications, and made fool of his followers. So first thing first is he must be prosecuted by the government of India. Second, he must compensate to the people who have lost their lives, but this would be a tedious issue, because first people have to say that they come under the influence of this and they did not go for the vaccination, and then there has to be a medical history, there has to be a chain of medical documents which would say coronal impacted them. It is not an easy task. Your intentions may be good. We may be looking towards the court to address this issue about damages and compensation. But one has to come with the cause of action. One has to come with the evidence to the court and say that this is the damage and this is the way things have happened. Now, Indian Medical Association approached Supreme Court only in August 2022. By that time, enough damage was caused. And why IMA went there? Because he started despising the allopathic medicines, and he has started making derogatory comments and remarks against the doctors and the other system. So, on one hand, he was denigrating all other prevalent remedies. On the other hand, he was proliferating or advertising his own products, which were not scientifically proven as a treatment of any particular disease. Please leave aside coronal issue. They don't have the medical database to support their claims in majority of medicines.
Right.
So
yeah, you're right. You know, whether we talk about blood pressure, we
Balakrishna
talk
himself
about
got treated in AIIMS.
yeah. Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Diabetes, cancer. You know, these are medical ailments that require serious treatment, and making these false claims, frivolous claims by Patanjali is grievous. It is akin to destroying the life of a person, and in fact, in some cases, even death. So here you tell me, Shamshravish, that as Advocate Ramakant said, that there will be floodgates that will open, and petition after petition, litigation after litigation will be filed against Patanjali and Ramdev. Is it then the onus and the responsibility of the government of India to take action against Patanjali as well?
No, yeah, of course. I mean, the government of India should take action, should take control of everything. But as matter of if litigation comes up in the court, so it is the court who has to see, as Mr. Gore said, that you should have specific documents in order to prove that so and so problem has occurred because of him. So of course, all of that would be there. But for the compensation, it's the court who will decide. So as I said earlier, that in terms of these builders, wherein the court took the control charge in their hands, and they had appointed a local commissioner in that matter. So similarly, if something such kind of thing happens, wherein there is no head and the main owner, wherein Mr. Ram Baba and his associates are behind the bars, so the complete company would be taken over by the courts, and some LC will be appointed in the matter, so that whenever such kind of claim comes in, the LC will see whether it is right or not, and then if they think that there are certain amount as a compensation should be handed over, that will be done.
Okay.
Government of India does not have this thing that they would be taking the complete money in charge in their hands, and they will disperse the money.
Okay.
But the government of India would take complete things, that the license has been cancelled and what all they have been doing. They have to check that a proper inquiry is done, and all of his companies that he's been doing, his honey is claimed that it is nothing but a sugar. So the government of India has to see all of that.
Okay, all right. On that note, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.